In this video lecture, I'll be discussing algorithm. So before I start algorithm, I want to tell what is program design process. So any program design process has two phases. So the first phase is problem solving phase, and the second phase is implementation phase. So problem solving phase is where we create an algorithm that solves the problem, and second phase of the program design is we translate algorithm into programming language. So whenever we have any problem, first phase is we have to write an algorithm, and then we have to convert that algorithm into some programming language. So now what is an algorithm? An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve any problem. Now, what are the properties of an algorithm? So, the first property of an algorithm is input and output should be defined precisely, and we should have 0 or more input and at least one output. Okay, so at least one output. So 0 or 1 more input means if I say I just want to write an algorithm to print hello world, then there we will be just printing the message, we won't be giving any input from the user. But when we say we want to write an algorithm for addition of two number, and those two numbers should be given by the user, so there the input will be any two number. But so input can be 0 or more, but at least one output we should have for any algorithm. So that is the first property, and then each step in algorithm should be clear and unambiguous. So unambiguous means it should not have different meanings, and algorithm should be most effective among many different ways to solve a problem, and whatever algorithm we are writing, we should be able to convert it into some programming language, because our ultimate goal is to write a program. So that is what I have told, the program design process. The first phase is writing an algorithm, and second phase we must be able to convert that algorithm into some programming language, and an algorithm must terminate in computable number of steps. So it should always terminate. So these are the properties of an algorithm. Next I will tell how to write an algorithm for addition of two numbers. So addition of two numbers, the input will be two numbers and which we want user to input, and then the result will be addition of two number that should be displayed on the screen. So if I want to write an algorithm for that, so whenever we write an algorithm, these two things we have to always specify, and I told algorithm is a step-by-step procedure, right? So we have to define the steps like this. So we have to always start, and at the end we have to always stop. So we have to, first step will be whatever variable we are going to use for our problem, that we need to declare. So here the variable a, b and sum, because we want to add two number, those two numbers are a and b, and this sum is the result of those two numbers, addition of two numbers. So the variable a, b, c, instead of this I can take num1, num2 and addition, or I can take a, b, c. So this name we can take anything. And then read ab is nothing but the input, means we want user to give input. So the same thing we can write like this also, input ab. So either I can write read ab or I can write input ab. And then sum is equal to a plus b. So this arrow means the value of this a plus b would be assigned to the variable sum, and at the end we want to display the result. So the variable sum is holding the value, the final answer. So that value we want to display. So for that we have to use the word print. So for displaying the value in algorithm we write like this, print sum, or we can also write display sum, like that also we can write. So when for example if I give a as 10, b as 20, then sum will be 10 plus 20, 30. So read AB means the input A and B should be given by the user, and then sum is equal to A plus B. That means this will perform the addition operation, and the value of A plus B would be assigned to the variable sum. And in this step we are going to display the result, and the result, the sum variable holds the result, and then we have to stop. So this is the algorithm for addition of two number. Now let's take another example. Here we have to write an algorithm to find the largest among the three numbers. So largest among the three numbers, so like previous problem, we have to always start and at the end we have to stop, and whatever variable we are going to use, we need to declare it. So since it is we have to write an algorithm for largest among three numbers, so there will be three variables a, b, c. If you want, you can write like num1, num2, num3, or number1, number2, number3, like that also you can write, and then read a, b, c, because this value a, b and c should be given by the user. Or I can also write input ABC, and then we have to check the condition here. So A, suppose it is 10, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to 30, or any other value, whatever value in user is giving. So here we need to check the condition. So here for condition checking we use if then. So either means if we check the condition, if the condition is true, if the condition is true, what will happen? If the condition is false, what will happen? Like that we have to see. So if A greater than B, if this is the condition, so then one more condition inside this we are checking, if A is greater than C. So now if A is greater than C, the condition is true. If the condition is true, then A will be printed, means A is the largest. If this condition is false, then this would be printed, C is the largest. Now if this condition is true, this part of code will be executed, or this part of these steps will be executed. Okay, if this condition is false, then we will come to this. So else if means if this is not true, then if this is true, then we are doing this. Else if means the other condition we are checking, if B greater than C. If the condition is true, then we'll print B is largest. If the condition is not true, then we'll print the C is largest, because when this is also not true, this is also not true, so by default C will be the largest. So like this, if we have a condition, so we can use the word if, then, else, else if, like that we can use, and we can use these words and we can check the condition. So whenever we have conditions, so either the condition will be true or false. So if it is true, what statement we have to write? If it is false, what step we have to write? That we need to specify. Okay, now the next is advantages of algorithm. So advantages of algorithm, the first advantage is it is a step-by-step representation of a solution to a given problem. So it is a step-by-step procedure to solve any problem, so which makes it easy to understand, and it uses a definite procedure, and also it is not dependent on any programming language. That means even if I don't know any programming language, I can easily understand an algorithm. So that is the third advantage of an algorithm. And here if it makes, if I have an algorithm, because it has its own logical sequence, so it is easy to debug. So debugging means it is easy to correct the errors if I have any error. So by using algorithm, the problem is broken into smaller pieces or steps. So any complex problem is there, so algorithm means it would be divided into smaller pieces, or we can say the steps, so which makes it easy for the programmer to convert that algorithm into actual program. Okay, so these are the advantages of an algorithm. Now we'll discuss what are the disadvantages of an algorithm. So if a problem is complex, it takes a lot of time to write an algorithm. So writing an algorithm, it is a time consuming process, and it lacks visual representation. So visual representation means here we don't have any diagrams, so it makes it very difficult, relatively difficult to understand. So for that we have a flow chart that we will be discussing next. So flow chart is basically the pictorial representation, so that we'll be discussing in the next video lecture. And then if the problem is very complex, so to track the flow, it becomes very difficult. So that is the third disadvantage of an algorithm. And it's not a computer program, it is just a process. So algorithm, anyway, if I have to solve any problem, it is first step is you have to write an algorithm, but ultimately we have to do programming. So we have to convert it into program. So it is not a program. It is just a process of how the program should be. So these are the disadvantages of an algorithm. So next video lecture, I will be discussing flowchart. Thank you.